Hole number 12. We are on the Ryder Cup. We are on the downward slide. Only a handful of holes to go. Let's see who's going to be next. Welcome back to Pars and Pours, the golf-centric whiskey channel. Jim here, and we are talking about the Ryder Cup. It's hole 12, and what has it been? I went around and I collected a whole bunch of rides for the year, and we're putting them together in a contest, and I randomly threw them together based on a random number generator in order to help let you guys know about what the Ryder Cup was, where it's being played, and fun. Well, let's just test some rides out and see who comes out on top. All right, so today we're talking about the Ryder Cup. Now, we've talked about the history, and we're still going to go down that path, in that the original Ryder Cup from Samuel Ryder is actually in the PGA of Great Britain. Everybody gets, the winning teams get replicas of that, okay? That's where that's at. One more little factoid, and I know I'm wearing them all out, but the little golfer that's on top of this trophy is said to be the teacher or the instructor of Samuel Ryder. But that's not verified, but heck, who goes, let's go with some, let's go with some golfing lore, right? So hole number 12. Hole number 12 is a par 5. It is handicap number 10, about right down the middle. Neither not so hard, not so easy. And par 5s aren't easy to come by up there anyway. It's a 473 par 5, and it is a dogleg left. You normally don't see a lot of those on PGA tournaments because the lion's share of the golfers are right-handed, so they have to hit a cut in order to be able to get out there. So finally one for a lefty. Go lefties. And there is sand, like in typical fashion, there is sand everywhere, right? There's sand. If you miss it just short, it's going to land in the sand, on either side. And again, everything is protected by sand. This is just the common theme of Bethpage Black, all right? Now what you've seen is we've gone through all these holes, and right now you should be seeing the bracket being filled out, and we are turned around and we are into basically the second round. These are all the winners of the previous bracket. So what do we have? We have Castle and Key, the Restoration Rye. It is Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey with a fairly decent cork game. Pour just enough in there. Now the cool thing about this one is it comes with a very heavy metallic cork, which I am told if you cleaned it up, you could use it as a brand for an ice cube, right? It's very, very heavy, very, very, very well done. The bottle is very, very nice. It is 53.25 alcohol by volume or 106 proof. It's released in 23. This is one of the first ones. We got there when they were releasing them. It's from the Old Taylor Distillery. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Bottle 29807. It's batch 1, aged 3 years. And it doesn't say anything about whether or not how much rye is in this rye whiskey. Okay. On the other side of it is a newcomer. And this is the one with another I've had 2 broken corks in this. There we go. And this is Circle City. Circle City is, for those of you who don't know, is Indianapolis. They like calling it Circle City because of the Indianapolis 500. And this is a non-distilling producer. And this is a 95.5 rye. And it is 129.1 proof, aged 12 years, out of barrel 1210. And it is considered to be straight rye whiskey. And it is basically MGP and Charter number 3 barrels. This is a store pick from Rural Inn in Indianapolis, and it is number 11 by their numbers. Okay, so if we look at it, we can tell that age does make a difference. This is 12 years, this is 3. So there we go. Alrighty, so a little bit about this. Castle and Key is the old tailor-made foundry, and if you go there, it still looks like a castle. That's the castle part. If you go back behind the castle, there's a sitting area that looks in the shape of an old-style key. Mr. Taylor, Colonel Taylor, fashioned both of these after some of his trips abroad. He thought, man, this is just really good stuff. Mr. Taylor was ahead of his time in trying to get people to come to distilleries and taste their products. Now we know Old Taylor and we know all about it. He's got E.H. Taylor out there, and he's been a whiskey magnet for some time. He has connections to McBrayer. He has connections to Buffalo Trace. It's just, the guy reaches out all over the place. All right, Circle City is relatively new. All right, they're probably not more than a couple of years old, and what they're from is Butler University grads, and a lot of what they do helps. They do a lot with charities, and they get their ideas together and their barrels together, and they form these bottles, and they're just now striking out, and we're starting to see some pretty good stuff from them, right? Okay, so now that we know a little bit about all of them, we know about the Ryder Cup, we know about Bethpage Black, let's start talking rye whiskeys. Alrighty, so both of these, this one's had a little bit more out of it than this one. I will give the history and the backstory to this one. The uniqueness is going to go to this guy right now. We're just going to put this one out of the top. The bottles are unique, the story is unique, the cork is unique, and if you ever get a chance to get down into the Frankfurt area, which Buffalo Trace tends to take the top billing, if you get a chance, drive another 15 minutes and go see these guys and just tour the area. It is a wonderful, wonderful tour. Alrighty. It's very light as the condition, as the liquid would show. A little bit of the grain note, and I'm picking up a faint, very, very faint trace of a Flintstones chewable. Now, when the last time we did this, both this one and the one that it won against, both of them were off-putting. There's the rye. One more. So I get kind of this rye, a light rye spice Flintstones chewable. Okay, let's go with that. I never once thought in a million years I would say Flintstones chewable as a nose thing, but it is what it is. Now this one is deeper and darker. You get a lot of the ethanol very right off the front. The rye is a dominant nose palate. Right there, it is just a dominant thing. And it's sweeter, which the 95.5, that's the way it comes off. That, you guys have been watching long enough that 95.5s to me come off better than just a regular rye whiskey. Yep, a little bit of the rye, a little bit of the brown sugar, and a little bit of the barrel. All right, let's get to it. Back to this guy. A couple of swirls, let it get in the glass. Another nose. And it's exactly what it came off of. It's very light. I don't get the Flintstones chewable, which is really good. The other one I'm always afraid of getting is raisin. To me, raisin is off-putting. I do not like that. But I don't get that. It is all rye right in the very front. It is very light, just as it would suggest. And the pepper spice is on there. And it stops mid-palate. There's almost zero finish. Yep, that's exactly. So it's not a surprise. It comes across exactly what it says out for. So, and that's always something for me, right? I don't want a surprise in there. Okay. Again, just a ton of sweetness on the front, followed by the rye. Barrel char. It's deeper, it's darker. It's a bit oily. And we're going to go back. Now we're going to do another taste on it and see what's happening here. I tend to like the darker notes in a rye or a whiskey. That's just my palate. And now I'm starting to get the finish. This one has a much more lingering finish on it. Yep, the higher proof, you can taste the higher proof that's coming through there. A bit of a caramel note onto the front. It is a little bit more oily than before. And so it's giving you a nice mouth feel is what's coming through. Kind of like that a lot. Let's go to this one now. almost a honey type, a dull honey on the front, and then you get hit with the rye spice, and then you get to the finish, which is very little, indeed, which is quite different because the first time we opened this, it was very off-putting, but maybe because of a little air, it's kind of mellowed its way out. Okay, so what we're seeing here is the nose on the Circle City and the straight rye from 12 years is very good. It's very deep. It's very dark, and it's also very. It's kind of a sweeter, and it's kind of dark versus light is really where we're at, and where the Castle and Key is a lighter, more rye forward, and then as we're letting it set, maybe the honey is getting there. All right, so the last bit of this is we got nose, palate, uniqueness. We already gave the uniqueness to the Castle and Key because it's got such a storied, historic, background on it. It's just amazing, and I do recommend highly going there. Where Circle City is new to the game, I like what they're doing. They have a really good process, but they just don't have a quite the background or a uniqueness that's going on, other than you don't get to see 12 year too much, right? However, 12 year doesn't necessarily mean that's an automatic winner. From a nose perspective, again, we said dark versus light. I tend to like the darker nose better. Old Forester comes to mind, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have to give the nose to Circle City. However, when it comes down to the palate, and the surprise here is I'm going to have to give it to Castle and Key. The reason being is there's more layers to it. At 110 versus the 128, you would think 128 would show its way, but it's not. It is very much, the barrel char is very much in a darker note, and it's a single note all the way across. Where the Castle and Key has several. It's gone from honey to, it smelled like the Flintstones chewable, which did not come across. If I would have got a hold of that, it was done. But it's not. It is mellowed out quite a bit. You get that honey finish on the front, you get the rye spice in the middle, and just a very, very small finish in the back. So that's where it's going. So we're going to give the palate to that, which is a 2-to-1. And when we're talking about a par 5, that means that the second shot really made the green versus one that did not. So again, we're going to give the nod to the Castle and Key. Circle City did make a very, very good showing. It's won at least once going through there. If you guys get a chance to go through there and see them in Indianapolis, please stop by. It seems as they're a very nice bunch of people. Again, I picked this one up at Rural Inn, which he recommended highly, and it is a very good pour. However, when we're talking about the technicality of it, following through, being light, the whole 9 yards, Castle and Key is winning again. All right, so that's hole number 12. We're on to hole number 13, where we're seeing now it's just a bunch of winners being winners. So please, if you see something that you think you'd like to see differently, put it in the show notes below. And if you liked it, like and subscribe. And as always, please, let's save those pars, but share those pours.